Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And yes, guys, we are still doing a 500 XRP giveaway. And if you're wondering, all you have to do to enter is make sure you press the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you leave a comment down below. And today, guys, comment down below your favorite stock. So if you put that in the comment, you're all the way good because your comment is your entry ticket. If we hit 2K likes within 24 hours, we are announcing the winner today. So make sure you also smash that like button. And now, guys, today, I think you guys all know what I want to talk about. But yes, today we're going to be talking about the $10,000 per XRP price prediction or true value, and this is going to be a little bit of a justification of that value. Now, I must tell you guys that straight up, $10,000 per XRP sounds kind of impossible, right? Because 10,000 times 100 billion, yeah, that just does not really sound reasonable in my opinion. However, there are a couple of instances in which this does work out. All right, and it's something that a lot of people don't think about, but it's really the truth. And it's really something that's, again, quite important for it all. And first of all, we must start with understanding, why 10,000, why all that? Well, I can tell you guys straight up, nobody actually knows how it came to be 10,000. If I'm completely honest, I think somebody just pulled it out of their nose, the 10,000 exact number, and it just went all forward. Because I've never seen any official Ripple or XRP creator or anything like that say it's really meant to be $10,000 per coin. So now that we have that out of the way, one of the billionaires over in poker, what is his name? Steve Wynn? It's something Wynn. Let's see here quickly. Yes, Steve Wynn, a very, very, very well-known player, a blackjack player or whatever, and businessman, said that XP was designed to reach $10,000 per token. And I believe that after this statement, which came out last month, the whole prediction and the whole idea gathered another round of steam. Keep in mind that this prediction is old, all right? There have been a lot of people who've been saying across the last 2 years that XRP is designed for it and that it should get to 10,000 per coin. However, right now it's getting a lot more adoption, a lot more steam, because of this guy right here, because he's a multi-billionaire. So yes, that does give yourself a little bit of authority, at least in my book. However, what I'm saying here is, for all of this to work out, we first must understand a little bit about world currencies and quite a lot about inflation. How the US dollar became the world reserve currency. The key takeaways of this, I explained this all to you guys already, but I think a lot of you are a little bit, forgetting. The first US dollar, as it is known today, was printed in 1914 upon the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank. During WW2, the US supplied the Allies and got paid in gold, preparing the US to the largest holder of gold. After the war, countries linked their currency to the dollar, which was linked to gold, and the gold standard ended, but the dollar's reserve status remained. Today, more than 61% of all foreign bank reserves are denominated in the US dollars, and nearly 40% of our world's debt is in dollars. So there's a couple important points to note here. First of all, we're talking about something which happened after a very, very big event, in this case here, a war. Now, to a certain degree, we can kind of see what's right now going on between the US and China, together with the pandemic, together with, of course, the not so reliable US in terms of QE, as a little bit of a heavy event, maybe not warlike, but really, really kind of close in terms of economic effect, right? Even though at that point, a lot of people were really, really poor. At this point, I'm going to say people are really, really questioning their future and really uncertain of what is about to happen because of all of this. Countries link their currencies to the dollar. So at that point, after it, because they were the largest holder of gold and, US dollar was linked to gold, they linked it to the dollar, right? So a lot of they linked their currency to the dollar. Why did they do that? Well, again, they were the most important one. They had the most authority and they were the most central. And more importantly, the gold standard ended, but the dollar reserve status was remained, right? So at this point, the dollar came to be the reserve currency. Now, that's all cool. That's all good. Today, more than 61% of all foreign bank reserves are denominated in the US dollar. Is that important? Well, very, very much so, because it's going to be the most prominent one to switch to. It's the simplest one and it's the most out there if you want to switch currencies, right? It's very, very simple. But also, you got to think about it a little bit further. And again, I can already include XRP here. With XRP and with Ripple, their system, what it wants to do is get rid of this nostro vostro. So all these foreign banks having reserves, this 61%, it really is not going to matter. It theoretically is 100% because all places can have reserves simply by just having it online. You don't need a reserve of real cash in your wallet or in your what's it called, vault or nothing like that. You don't really have to go for percentages like this because it is so liquid that you can just have, your whole bank reserve filled with XRP, which is a very important part, together with this one here as well, where it's linked to gold. I'm often saying that I think XRP is linked to silver. However, that's another debate we can make for another day. I think this is very important to point out because now we understand that at this point here, it is very, very understanding that XRP could become a world reserve currency. If we follow the US's example, after the big event here, all these currencies wanted to link to the dollar because it was the most important one and it had like the best connection to it all. Well, I'm just going to say here, XRP has the best connection to all currencies, so it's not going to be strange if all countries want to link their currency to that as well. Right? And that's going to be more important for later. Because right now you might be thinking, but Dusty, it's not going to be so stable, the XRP, so people don't want to link it to that currency. Wrong. Because basically what we're pointing towards here is that right at this point, all is linked to the US dollar, right? At least it's the world reserve currency, so we measure most things in how many US dollars it would be. Gold is measured in US dollars. Why is that so? And why would that change with, for example, gold standard? Because it is not, how much dollars is this gold worth? It would be how much, I guess, for example, if you want to determine how much silver is in terms of gold, you're going to say, all right, I have this piece of gold, silver, right? How much gold could this buy me? And that's basically what you're going to go for. Instead of how many dollars could this buy me, you're going to know how much gold can this buy me. And the same thing would kind of apply to XRP, where, and I guess that's how you can already relate it further. All these countries could just have it done in XRP because it would be like, all right, I have some XRP, right? How many euros could that buy me? It's not like a system where it's like, you know what, we're going to go to dollar first and then relate it to these other currencies. No, it's going to be a direct link. And a little bit further to all of that, it's also going to be the way of, you don't need to actually talk about $10,000 per coin here, which is important because, for example, if XRP were to really become a main currency, it would be so that you're going to buy things in the store for a certain amount of XRP. And how many dollars that would be, it's really not that important because when this does happen, you're already assuming that people have switched over their currencies to an XRP standard, where it's like, all right, you want to buy some potatoes, going to be 3 XRP. How much that is in dollars? Well, who cares? I mean, if you go to the store right now, you go to 7-Eleven or you go to Walmart, do you care how many Chinese yuan your purchase is going to be? Of course not, because you're used to paying in dollars, right? At least that's going for my US viewers then. Or you care how much, just pick another random currency there, an arbitrary one. You care how much of that is going to be when you're buying something? No, it's about the currency you're paying in and how much it is to hold. But if the whole system is designed where it's just XRP, the only reason or point at which it's going to matter is if you ever would want to go back to US dollars, or if the system has partially adopted XRP, where a lot of people are trying to switch over right now, where like, all right, let's say for example, you and I and all the early adopters are onto XRP, but people would have to switch over and it's already 10,000 per coin at this point, that would matter. However, again, following the assumption of XRP becoming the world reserve currency, it will realistically only happen if the US dollar were to fall completely. And at that point, for the US dollar to fall, it would most likely mean a ton of hyperinflation, or just a ton of inflation, hyperinflation. And what that would mean is most likely this $10,000 we're talking about here is going to be worth, let's say, for example, $100, or something like that. Just an arbitrary number I just picked here once more. Because if the US dollar stays as strong as it is right now, then what most likely has occurred is that the US itself hasn't fallen, the Fed hasn't been abolished, banks still work normally, the rate hasn't gone below zero, and it hasn't gone to like minus 5% or anything like that. So at that point, why would the world reserve currency switch to XRP, right? Why would they do so? I don't really see a good reason for that, and the whole theory kind of falls apart. So basically, to kind of sum up what I just said here, for the prediction to be justified, there are a couple of kind of like assumptions that also need to be made and that need to be cleared up front. So first of all, the US dollar must hyperinflate because otherwise the whole system doesn't really work out too much anymore. Second of all, what needs to be done is that most of our things can be bought in XRP, and XRP really becomes the standard, where you can just pay with everything in that way, and the prices in shops and all of that will be designed for XRP, not for US dollars, and thus all the other currencies will just look at the connection to XRP, but not to how much dollars it is worth in euros or things like that. Every currency can have their own, connection to it. Again, it would change up the world a little bit, but again, getting new world reserve currency will mess up the world quite heavily, so it would do a lot of changing. Also, important to know here is that this little thing I showed you guys earlier is actually a lot less relevant than you might think, and the main reason for that is, do you guys even understand how global wealth is created and where it comes from? Because to a certain degree, right, it comes out of nowhere. Because otherwise, how is it going to grow, right? How can literally new money be created into this world? You can't say by printing or by people placing value onto something which does not necessarily exist. Because, for example, when we're valuing your company right now, it is just the valuation of what we want to put at it, right? For example, Apple at this point, we can value it at 2 trillion, right? Why can we do that to a certain degree? And again, this is just a hypothetical here. Why can we do that? Because we think in the future, and if you discount the cash flows and all of that, you could say like, all right, this company is actually worth $2 trillion because of what it can bring us and what it will give and all of that. However, it could quite possibly be that there is not enough liquid money in the world or anything like that, or they don't have enough assets to really justify that amount of money. And same maybe with XRP in a certain way, shape, or form. It could go to a market cap which is not necessarily, buyable by people. It might not even be the way that it's possible for people to buy it all the way, but still get it. And the reason for that is, for example, if there were to be right now, let's say 99 billion XRP into existence, and all of a sudden another billion were to be printed onwards onto it again, it could be that the price does not change, all right? It could be. Maybe people all have accepted that, just another point gets printed. What happens then is another $1 billion worth of the price, which it was at before, gets printed, adding it to the money supply. And at that point, it's just the same as the US is doing right now with their QE. It's just new money flowing in. And with that in the back of your head, it's also like any point you put here is possible. Literally any point. If you want to go another 3 zeros behind it, it can be possible. Is it likely to occur? No. But are any of these events we're calling about right now likely to occur? Oh, yes, but no. Again, once more. And that is why I'm saying, don't worry too much about whatever it says right here, because it can literally all happen. Even if you're talking about 1 quintillion or just pick another random number, it can all happen because of a certain degree. We're talking about hyperinflation, where maybe the $1 billion is going to be worth $10,000 at some point, which is another valid option. I mean, look at Venezuela. And another option, as I just said, is that just the wealth can get created. Now, a more practical example is with XRP right now. A lot are saying that the supply at this point is, how much is it going to be exactly? Like let's see, it's going to update. Or is it just broken right now? All right. The circulating supply right now is 44.86 billion, right? And we value it supposedly upon this circulating supply and not the total supply. However, as more money rolls in, for example, if Ripple were to release $3 billion from escrow, or 3 billion XP from escrow right now, it will place it at 47 billion, and it could be that the price did not change. All right, and what would happen then is, again, that price times the 3 billion just got added on top of the world here out of nowhere. And it doesn't have to be possible for people to really buy this. We can value it at a price at which it is not really possible. The same for which the US is doing right now. They're printing, even though it technically comes out of thin air. It's not really any back into it. I've been reading a lot about why the world currency was created and whether or not currencies can actually replace it. And there's actually a lot of different theories going around whether or not it can happen. But one of the most prominent things they always say is that it's a big part of the reserves, right? And here they say, what does the world reserve currency mean? World reserve currency, and again, it has it in the name, right? Reserve means a currency that many central banks hold as part of their FX reserves. In theory, any currency could be a world reserve currency, but in practice, central bank FX, foreign exchange, reserves are denominated by a few currencies. These currencies are typically issued by well-managed central banks on behalf of governments which have a history of meeting their obligations. As a result, they tend to have stable exchange rates and low inflation. This makes them attractive both for international trade and as long-term saving vehicles. The IMF recognizes 8 world reserve currencies: US dollar, euro, Chinese renminbi or yuan, Japanese yen, British pound, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and Swiss franc. Of these, US dollar is far the most widely used in global FX reserves. Nearly 60% of the FX reserves are denominated in dollars, and in the second quarter of 2019, the total dollar value of FX reserves stood at around 11.7 trillion, of which 6.8 were in dollars or denominated in dollars assets, and for this reason, the dollar is often referred to as simply the world reserve currency. And important to know about that then is, with XRP, this whole reserve part kind of gets faded because you don't really need to hold it as a reserve. I mean, whole FX reserves are not needed anymore, but even if you wanted to hold them, then you could just have one, which could be denoted for 100%, instead of, having a couple of them, because you can just transfer them over that simply because it's so liquid, right? And that's, I guess, the whole fun part about it all, that you don't need reserves is one point, and even if you want to have reserve, you can just have them in XRP and switch it over everywhere really, really simply. So yeah, hopefully you guys got the idea here. Now, why is it $10,000 exactly? I can't tell you. Why did they come up with that value? I really don't know. However, can it happen? Yes. Will the world look very, very differently? Yes. And would your $10,000 per XRP then be able to buy, make you a billionaire? Well, maybe so. Will a billionaire then be like a $10,000 net worth individual? Maybe. So it could be that even $10,000 per coins is not as much as you think it would be, right? It could be that the whole world would look so different that your $10,000 per coin is really, again, another $10 per coin, and in the end, not being that ridiculously crazy. But hey, that's just a theory, a crypto theory. Just joking around. Yeah. So yeah, it's possible. It's really a lot more possible than I ever thought. However, the world would look so differently. So yeah, there's something to keep in mind. Also, I've been reading a ton of these articles, man. So many. I've gotten so much knowledge that I'm never going to use again, but it's cool to have, I guess. So yeah. Guys, thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. And I will definitely see you guys again in another one. And yeah, comment your feedback down below.